The golden morning sunlight streamed through the towering windows of the prestigious Pinnacle Grand Hotel, casting elongated shadows across the polished marble floors. The lobby was alive with movement, a symphony of hurried footsteps, the rhythmic clatter of keyboards as business travelers typed away furiously on their laptops, and the excited murmurs of tourists mapping out their day's adventures. Hotel staff moved with well-practiced precision, seamlessly navigating the bustling environment. Among them, almost unnoticed despite her crisp, well-pressed uniform, was Amihan Reyes. At 58 years old, she moved with a quiet, effortless grace that made her presence almost ghost-like. Her salt and pepper hair, neatly secured in a tight bun, framed a face that carried the marks of experience, yet her posture remained upright, her movements deliberate. Even as her weathered hands methodically polished the brass fixtures, there was something undeniably different about her, an air of discipline and quiet dignity. While most guests never spared her a second glance, those who did often felt an inexplicable sense of respect, though they couldn't quite put a finger on why. "Reyes, you missed a spot again." The sharp voice cut through the background chatter like a whip. Victor Harrington, the hotel's 42-year-old manager, stood with his arms folded across his chest, his designer suit crisp, his polished shoes reflecting the morning light. His expression, one of habitual dissatisfaction, never seemed to change. With an impatient gesture, he pointed to a small smudge on a mirror. "My apologies, Mr. Harrington." Amihan's voice was steady, her Filipino accent soft but clear. Without hesitation, she moved to correct the oversight, her expression unwavering despite the public reprimand. "And be quick about it." Victor's voice rose deliberately, ensuring that guests nearby heard every word. "We have VIPs arriving this afternoon." To him, this was leadership, firmness wrapped in thinly veiled humiliation. Amihan only nodded, resuming her task without so much as a flicker of emotion. Around her, the other Filipino housekeepers kept their heads down, well accustomed to Victor's treatment of their colleague. But what puzzled them was how Amihan never seemed affected. She never complained in the break room, never shed a tear, never vented her frustrations. "I don't know how you stay so calm," came a hushed voice. It was Rosario, the 55-year-old head housekeeper, who had joined Amihan a few moments later. Her eyes flickered with frustration as she continued. "If he ever spoke to me like that in front of everyone." Amihan simply gave a faint, knowing smile, her eyes crinkling slightly at the corners, the only indication of her thoughts. "There are worse things than harsh words, Rosario." Later that afternoon, in the quiet of the employees' changing room, Amihan opened her locker, pausing at the familiar sight inside. A single photo, carefully taped to the inside door, showed a much younger version of herself, standing tall in a crisp military uniform adorned with medals. Beside her stood her daughter, Leah, dressed in a pristine white doctor's coat. For a fleeting moment, pride, and something almost like longing, flashed across Amihan's face before she gently closed the locker door. "Is that your daughter?" The voice came from Jasmine, the 45-year-old front desk clerk, who had stepped in to retrieve her phone charger. Amihan turned, her smile this time genuine, warm. "Yes, Leah. She's a doctor in Manila. She finished her specialty last year." Jasmine's gaze softened as she observed the way Amihan's entire demeanor changed at the mention of her daughter. "You must be so proud." Amihan nodded, her voice carrying a quiet strength. "Did you always live in the Philippines before coming here?" Jasmine asked hesitantly. Then, realizing it might be too personal, quickly added, "I mean, if you don't mind me asking." Amihan's hands briefly stilled as she folded her uniform before resuming with the same steady rhythm. "Yes, my whole life. Until 2 years ago." Jasmine hesitated before asking, "What made you leave?" Amihan exhaled slowly, her voice calm. "After my husband passed, I needed a change. America provided better opportunities to support Leah's hospital while she establishes her practice." Her response was simple. But beneath it lay a history untold, a past filled with sacrifices and choices too complex for words. That evening, in the solitude of her modest one-bedroom apartment, Amihan's routine shifted. At a small wooden desk, she sat before her laptop, its dim glow softening the lines of her face. Across the screen, her daughter's face appeared, a mirror of her own youth. "Mama, you look tired," Leah's voice came, tinged with concern. At 32, she had her mother's sharp, observant eyes and a determined chin that had once belonged to a soldier. "I'm fine, Anik," Amihan reassured her. "Just a long day." She waved a hand dismissively before urging, "Tell me about your patients." After the call ended, Amihan moved towards her closet, her hands reaching for a box on the top shelf. She opened it with careful reverence. Inside, a collection of medals, commendations, and a carefully folded Philippine flag lay untouched. Her fingers traced the embossed seal of the Philippine Army on an official certificate, a retirement document for Brigadier General Amihan Reyes, honoring 30 years of distinguished service. Next to it, old newspaper clippings bore bold headlines. Female General leads decisive counterterrorism operation. General Reyes awarded for valor during humanitarian crisis. First female Army general appointed to Joint Defense Council. Photographs showed a younger Amihan, standing proudly among high-ranking officials, her uniform decorated with badges of honor, medals of bravery, insignias of rank. She closed the box and placed it back in its rightful spot, a routine she had performed every week, not out of nostalgia but as a reminder of who she had been, and who she still was. Tomorrow, she would return to the Pinnacle Grand Hotel, polishing brass fixtures and enduring Victor Harrington's dismissive commands. But for Amihan Reyes, it was just another mission. One of many she had conquered before. A reputation for unshakable calm in the face of chaos. That was what had set Amihan Reyes apart throughout her career. Where others faltered, she found clarity. When hope seemed lost, she carved out solutions. It was a skill honed over decades, one that had saved countless lives. But as the memory of past battles and triumphs faded, reality came crashing back. Beep, beep, beep. The sharp chime of her alarm clock broke the silence of her apartment. It was still dark outside. The world beyond her window remained asleep, but Amihan was already in motion. She moved with military precision, her routine unchanged. Her bed, neatly made with hospital corners, breakfast prepared and eaten efficiently, her uniform inspected down to the smallest detail. Not a single crease, not a single imperfection. Before stepping out, she paused at a small wooden altar near her bedside. A crucifix stood beside a framed black and white photograph. A man in uniform, his gaze steady, his expression strong. Her fingertips brushed the frame. "Another day, Ricardo," she whispered. Colonel Ricardo Reyes, her equal in rank, her partner in life, and the man she had built a future with, until cancer took him 5 years ago. The briefing room, a different kind of battle. At the Pinnacle Grand Hotel, the morning briefings were Victor Harrington's daily ritual. His chance to assert dominance. The housekeeping staff, all women, mostly Filipinas and other Southeast Asians, gathered in the break room, their faces impassive but their shoulders tense. Victor paced before them like a general inspecting his troops. "The Westbrook Conference begins today," he announced, voice clipped and authoritative. "Corporate executives, political figures, media. These are the kind of guests who notice everything and complain about anything. I expect perfection." Then his gaze landed on Amihan, especially from those who have needed extra coaching. Calculated jab. Amihan didn't flinch, but she felt Rosario's sympathetic glance from across the room. As the staff dispersed, Rosario muttered under her breath, "He always singles you out. It's not fair." Amihan adjusted her cleaning cart, her voice quiet but firm. "Fairness is a luxury, not a right. I learned that a long time ago." She left without another word, but her mind wasn't in the hotel anymore. A memory. A battle of a different kind. As she worked methodically through the executive suites, her hands scrubbing bathroom tiles, her mind drifted back to Samar Province years ago. A devastating flood had left thousands stranded. For 3 days straight, she had coordinated helicopter evacuations, navigating through torrential rains, unstable terrain, and the ever-present threat of landslides. When others had panicked, she had stood firm. When disaster seemed insurmountable, she had found a way through.